I'm going to trust in you as an audience and say that my topic is not talking about public speaking. So I'm going to take you on a journey of 2 years that has basically led me to this point. I have given some speeches, I've done some presentations, but they're on the topic that I wished to talk about. So tonight I will just take you on a journey with me. Basically it starts and ends with believing in yourself, and please forgive me if this does not work. Now, what I found, that one of the things that we have a great deal of difficulty with when we want to stand up and talk in front of other people is we want their approval. From little children, we want our mum's approval, we want dad's approval, we want peer approval, we want our friends to like us. And for some reason, we grow up and then we want strangers to give us approval. We want the seal of approval from people that we don't even know, that we don't even care and truthfully don't care about us. And it holds us back and we think, oh, what are we going to do if they don't like us? And actually, it doesn't really matter if they like us or not. What matters is that we like ourselves and that we have something that we wish to share with other people, and the rest will follow. I don't know if any of you know that little cartoon where there's a dog and he's a little tough guy, and then there's this big bulldog and he wants to be his best pal, and he's like, oh please, let me do it. And of course, he gets slapped out of the way, and that's what happens when we're just so desperate for people to like us. We start to lose ourselves and we actually push people away because nobody wants to be surrounded by someone who's so desperate for their approval, to be liked. And then of course we get stuck and we give up. Halfway we might go, oh, this is too hard, I don't want to keep practicing. I sucked in the last speech that I did. I was, as mentioned before, I was asked to present to the Medical Association, and the night before I was sitting there going over my speech, and I'd had nearly 2 months to prepare this, and I'd written it and I'd read it and I practiced it, and then I went, oh my God, these are professionals. How can I stand there and actually tell them what I believe needs to be done in this situation? How can I do that? And I was freaking out, and I thought, I have to rewrite the whole speech. And then I thought, no, this is what I want to do. I have a message, and I'm going to just go ahead and do it. And if I fall, well, maybe I've got the wrong audience, maybe I did the wrong thing to start with, but I'm going to stand by what I believed was the right thing to do, and actually it did really well and led to further opportunities. So you need to stay true to yourself and true to your story. Some of these things have the message that I'm trying to get across, but what I've seen is people change what they want to say because they think that their audience needs to hear something else, or that they're not doing it the right way. And you know what? You come across as false. And people pick up on that. If you're a great actor and you're going to be in a movie, that's fine, but generally, people don't believe you. And I decided, don't look at that yet, that I was going to be genuine to myself. I'm not here tottering on high heels, because I'd probably be on painkillers for 3 days if I did. And I'm not Anthony Robbins, and I'm not the Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm not, imagine if I walked in and I said, I want you to do this. I'm going to look like a twat, because it actually isn't me. Nobody's going to believe me, they're not going to buy it. Okay, but if you have a message that you believe, and if you speak genuinely about it, you can convince anybody of anything. And these are 4 examples. We all know this guy, the biggest crazy loon in the world, but he convinced a whole nation to go out and kill Jews and to kill Christians and to kill homosexuals because he believed in it, and he kept saying it and saying it and saying it, and he found an audience. And this guy, from his dorm room, people said to him, you can do it for fun, but how can you make money out of a free platform? But he believed in it, and now he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. This guy, he didn't start
his Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise till he was in his 50s. And as a man in his mid-50s, he went from restaurant to restaurant and he said, let me cook my chicken for you. And if you love it, we'll talk about franchising. And then the other guy, the last one, we went to a loop and back to another crazy guy. He just kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. And not everybody agreed with him, but he found enough of an audience that wanted to hear his message, they were ready to hear his message, and now he's the President of the United States. It's so sad. But the point is that if you have confidence and if you believe in what you're saying, you will convince people. You're never going to convince everybody. This woman, I think we all know Oprah, she's the biggest exponent of believing in yourself. And her whole life, her whole fame came about because she worked on herself and she took all of us on the journey with her. She went from fat to skinny, to fat to skinny, to giving cars away, to breakups, through everything. And we all went on this journey with her. And she was open and she was honest and she was always genuine. And that's what made her famous. So, moving along with that, I'm going to talk about something that everybody tells you, posture. You can't just walk around like this and feel all nervous because people pick up on it. So I'm not going to go on about that because we all know that. But possibly what we don't know is that if we do that, you can't project. And it affects your mind, and then you get worse and worse and you get more scared. Because imagine, you feel like this, and then you try and tell somebody something wonderful, and you can't. You actually can't bring it up. But if you stand up straight, you can actually say, I met this amazing guy today. Now try doing it like this. You actually can't. Your mind and your body are connected and they affect each other. These two are probably two of the greatest orators in the world. Well, one is still. He wanted to change the world of technology. He didn't always dress up in suits and amazing gear and go out in front of people. He was famous for always wearing sneakers and jeans and a t-shirt. But he had a message and he spoke about it. He was eloquent. He knew his story. And Obama, probably the single greatest orator of the 21st century, he stuck to his story. He had a belief. People didn't believe him. They didn't think that a black man could be president. But he kept on going until he achieved it. And he did it in such a way that we lived what he spoke. We believed what he spoke because they were very, very genuine. So, and see, there is the problem. When you and you lose your audience. I'd say in probably just those couple of ums, people are like, okay, she's losing it. And it is very, very tempting to and And it's, people tell you there's the power of the pause. Well, that's all great, but what is the power of the pause? And if you sit on this side and people are looking at you, and I mean here there's what, 15, 20 people, 20, 30 people. Imagine if there were hundreds or thousands of people and you're standing here and suddenly your mind's a blank and you think, oh, if I don't say anything, they're going to know that I forgot what I'm talking about. And then you and of course they definitely know you forgot. So even though it's really, really difficult, one of the things I think you have to force yourself to do is when you get this blank or you forget what the next bit was, is just walk to the other side of the stage. And usually by the time you get there, it's clicked and people are focusing on you, and actually it makes you look like you really, really know what the hell you're doing because you've just, been quiet, you've been strong, and you look so determined when you do that. So speak with conviction and believe what you're saying, but don't be afraid to be wrong. Because sometimes, and it depends what you're speaking about, you might get a fact wrong, You might totally screw up. So unless you're starting a new religion like Scientology and then nobody knows if you're right or wrong, you're always going to make some mistakes, or people are going to think that what you've said is not really good. Well, when you do that, there are two things that happen. You do learn from it, but also trust your audience. They've taken the time and quite often the money to come and see you. They want you to succeed. They want to learn from you. So just tell them, I'm really, really sorry. I've just screwed up, or whoops, I missed a whole section of it. Let me just, tell you that. And people appreciate that. You're building a rapport with your audience and you're being honest. Usually, whatever the circumstance in life is, if you're honest with people and ask them to help you or support you, they generally do. It's when you lie and cover up that you lose people. So don't be afraid of that, because if you are, nothing will happen. You will just stay where you are. Now imagine if people like Columbus and James Cook and other discoverers, if they said, I'm not going to go, I'm going to fall off the edge of the earth, so I'm going to die. Or if NASA said, we don't know what's on the moon, we're not going to go there. Or Beethoven and Mozart and Elvis said, nobody likes my music, I'm not going to do it. Where would the world be? It would be a completely different place. Now I'm going to actually read this because I think it's quite amazing. Quit making excuses, putting it off, complaining about it, dreaming about it, whining about it, crying about it, believing you can't and worrying if you can, waiting until you're older and skinnier, richer and braver, or all around better. Suck it up, hold on tight, say a prayer, make a plan, and just do it. And I think that is a really, really important thing. Sometimes you've just got to go ahead and do it. If you know your story, not somebody else's story and not somebody else's method, you just need to know your beginning, your middle and your end, your point. And if you're genuine, you're not going to get stuck. It's like Aaron before. He might have kind of lost it a bit at the end, but he was talking about something he was passionate about and something he knew, and he drew us all in. Well, at least he drew me in, and I think that's very important. Don't just stand up there and try and think of anything because you want to be famous or you want to make a lot of money. If you want to speak in front of people, there has to be a reason for it, because you don't know who's listening. You don't know who you could help, because one sentence, one thing that you've said on that night could be just what that person out there is waiting for to hear, and you could change their life. So take that chance, because when you help them, you're also going to help yourself. Now, I'm going to share with you, some years ago when I was setting up a hotel for the Accor group, I had been training with my staff all day, and I had like 50 people under me. And we were on a break. I said, go have lunch. And I was walking through the function area, which was not set up yet, so it was just this big cavernous area. And I'm walking through like this, and up on the other side was the F&B manager with all the front of house staff. So I'm like, and he goes, there's the executive chef. Come over and say hello. I'm like, off I go. Hey. And he says, why don't you say a few words to the staff? Now, what I should have said was, hi, I'm the executive chef. We've been working away on a new menu, new products. In the next few weeks, we'll all get together so you can try the food. We can discuss any questions and queries so that you'll be able to deal with it, so that you will know what everything is about. Feel free to come to my office anytime. But what I said was, because they weren't my staff, if it was the kitchen staff, I would know what we were doing, and it was like business as usual. So what I said, in charge of 50 people, one of the top executives in the hotel, I went, I'm the executive chef. And off I went. And that was the single most humiliating time in my life. It was so embarrassing, and I knew I really needed to do something. But I lived to tell the tale. And this is what I'm saying here, is paint a picture and set a scene. Because if telling facts, you will learn. Telling the truth, you'll believe. But if I tell you a story, you're going to remember it forever. Because I could have just said to you, it's really bad not knowing how to speak in public because it's embarrassing. And if you speak better, then you'll be able to do this. Well, everybody says that and you wouldn't even remember it. But my little story will probably stay with you because you've got an image in your mind. So basically what I'm saying to you is be yourself. However weird or funky you are, the truth will come out. Your personality will come out. I think if you try and be somebody else, it always shows, and you won't get an audience. I mean, there's enough Anthony Robbinses, and there's enough Wolf of Wall Streets, and there's enough Michael Wuchis. There's a lot of people, but there's only one you, and there's only one person in the world who has your story and your message. And if you don't tell it, then who will? So I'd like to share this little picture with you.
Confidence.
Confidence is everything. It all comes down to how you see yourself and how you view yourself. Thank you.